Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're live at Pasadena at Memorial Park, and we're going to be moving stuff a little bit here.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start in just a minute here, so if you want to get as comfortable as you can get in this, up with the volume there, young man. Can you hear me now? That's it? Okay. Do we have sound coming out of this speaker here? Is that better? Okay. Well, good. To all our speakers, then you might want to speak like you're doing an outdoor rally, and add that little extra oomph to your voice. Hazel Lane. Well, I want to let you know that I left Lake Arrowhead this morning and it was sunshine. That's where we should have held the rally. We all went fishing afterwards, but no, we had to come down to beautiful Pasadena, this great park. But it is great to be here. I thank everyone for coming out today, and I'm actually excited for the lineup of speakers we have. This is a very, very important time in our nation's history, and I was telling my own children that I don't know that in terms of threat to our country, certainly since World War II, that we've had such a change in so short a time as we've seen under the current Obama administration. And the blatant and outright attacks and disregard for the church and for the many, many charitable acts that the church does. Just this morning, Salvation Army was over here feeding the homeless. A religious organization is going to come under the purview of the HHS mandate. I do not think our country should or wants to be at odds with the church. I pray that it comes to an end quickly. With that, let me just open this time in prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you. We beg, O God, your mercy on our nation, that you withhold, O God, the judgment that is certainly due us for the slaughter of unborn children, for our many sins as a people. God, have mercy on us. Father, I pray for this time together with brothers and sisters in Christ as we stand up, God, for religious freedom that you have given us through our forefathers by your mercy. I just pray, God, for your Holy Spirit to be on us and among us, that we might know your will, follow your will, have the courage to obey our convictions. And God, help us to work without tiring in the coming weeks, God, as we fight for religious freedom in our nation. Thank you again for this beautiful location, God, and even for this very light, lovely lane. God, Lord, I just pray that you be with us as we continue this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to call your friends that cannot be here, first of all, call them, tell them come on down. But if they cannot get here, all they got to do is go on their laptop or their computer or their iPad and go to ustream.tv. Ustream.tv. Put in Wiley Drake Show. You're live on television now, so everybody wave at your friends. All right, you're live on the internet all around the world. Call your friends, tell them to watch ustream.tv. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Good to have you here, Wiley. My name is Jeff White. I'm the founder of a pro-life youth organization called Survivors of the Abortion Holocaust. You'll be hearing a little later today from Christina, our campus outreach director. And we're very proud to be the sponsors today of this, and working with Eric Scheidler with Stand Up for Religious Freedom, who's done a great work in organizing these rallies all across the country. Just so you know, there's another rally today at 3 o'clock down in Anaheim, and literally well over 150 across the country. So the message is out there. It's an important topic, and I hope that this fight against the HHS mandate just motivates the church to come out. Um, One of the things that I just wanted to say, it was said in Washington, D.C., and now that I think about it, it was Christina Garza's line. So, I'm going to steal it. She can use it again. Okay, I stole it from her. And when she speaks, no, I stole it from her. She didn't steal it from me. But she said, after talking to the Carmelite sisters, and they were talking about having to flee Mexico for the persecution here, and she asked a great question. If America stops being the place that people run to for religious freedom, okay, if we stop being that place that we have been for well over 400 years, even before the forming of our country, that's the very basis of us being here. If we stop being that, where will the rest of the world go? I thought that was a great point, and it, I think, underlines the criticalness of this moment in time. Well, I'm going to get right to our speakers, and I'm very excited to introduce our first speaker. The speaker's name is Neil Vance, and he is the Promotions and Media Director for Life SoCal. Uh, he's going to share some time, and he's going to share with a young lady named Marion also. Um, but he has a degree in youth ministry, and you know what? Really, whether he's behind the camera or speaking to groups or serving in the community or coaching one of the kids' teams, Neil uses his talents to bring out the best in people and organizations that he serves. And we're very, very excited to have him with us today. Please welcome Neil Vance.
Whoever was the one who whistled, thank you. Who was that? Thanks. That was nice, man. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm tall. Right. This is a test. This is a test. This weather, this day is a test. Who are the people who we should be talking to this morning? Who should we be sharing this information with? You passed the test and you are the faithful. So give yourself a little pat on the back. That is a great congratulations to you. And I know that God is smiling.
Amen.
Because we're here doing His work. And as Jeff told you earlier, my name is Neil Vance, and I work for an organization called Life SoCal, and that's our little banner right over there. And we are an organization that does gigantic, super fun, exciting rallies to bring people together for the cause of the unborn. And what we try to do during that time is help people understand not only to increase awareness, but also to increase involvement in the cause. And so on November 18th, just in less than 30 days, we're having an enormous rally at Dodger Stadium. Some of you may have attended our walk around the Rose Bowl in March 2011. That inspired us to do something even bigger and even more exciting, and we're hoping for 20,000 people to join us at Dodger Stadium on November the 18th. We have concerts, we have food trucks, we have great pro-life speakers, and all kinds of exciting things happening that day, and I hope that you will join us. This morning I wanted to take some time to encourage you. You're here standing in the rain for a reason. The reason you're here in the rain is not just to hold signs, although your signs are beautiful, and I will give them a round of applause.
Yay.
The reason you're here in the rain, I hope, is to keep your eyes on the goal. I have these goals here this morning so that you will be able to have a visual remembering the day you were in the rain and the goals were in front of you. I hope that you will always keep the goals in front of you. And I want to share those two goals with you this morning. Why are there two goals? Because when I bought this set, it came in a set, there were two. No, that's not the reason. There are two goals because the first goal for us is to share good news.
Amen.
How beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news to the people who desperately and deeply need it. In addition to that, we are to do justice and love mercy. Those are our goals, to share the good news, to do justice, and to love mercy. I brought a friend with me here today. Her name is Marion Jones. She will be one of our speakers at Dodger Stadium, and she came here to tell you her story because she is a person at only 20 years old who is doing a dramatic and amazing job helping people see that there is good news. She is doing an amazing job doing justice and loving mercy, and I want to bring her here to talk with you right now. Marion, come on up.
I'm not as tall as you. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marion Jones, and thank you guys so much for coming out today. I know it's cold, and anyway, I run a Catholic organization called I Am Whole Life. What does whole life mean? It means promoting human dignity not only at birth, at conception and in the womb, but throughout all stages. So from conception till natural death, from the child in the womb to the child in dark four, we are whole life. And you know, as Christians, we believe that everyone was made in the image and likeness of God, and we all have intrinsic dignity that no one can rob us of. So we do pro-life work. We do work with the homeless. In the past year, we've fed over 1,000 people in Los Angeles. We have a pro-life program that has saved. I think yesterday we got a phone call that we saved another baby through our program, confirmed, and I think that's like 681. So yeah, really a great phone call for that. So we will be at the Go to Bat for Life event at Dodger Stadium, and I hope you guys can all make it. It's going to be so much fun, and it's just so encouraging to be with other Christians and pro-lifers who believe in the cause. And we really need to stick together. And thank you so much for coming out today.
As I mentioned, Marion will be joining us at Dodger Stadium. She'll have a lot more to share with the crowd there. You're in the rain. And so I want to wrap this up for you very quickly this morning by just giving you a few details about our event and encouraging you to help me spread the word about Go to Bat for Life at Dodger Stadium on November 18th. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. Reverend Walter Hoy is our MC. Eduardo Veracity is coming to speak. Uh, Archbishop Jose Gomez will be there addressing the crowd. Lila Rose will be there addressing the crowd. Marion Jones will be there addressing the crowd. We have all kinds of exciting things going on, in addition to a lot of fun. Lincoln Brewster will be giving a concert, as well as Christafari. It is going to be an amazing day for life. And we hope that you will join us there. I can use your help, to be honest, because I need people who will be willing to go out and spread the word. We have less than 30 days to get 20,000 people to Dodger Stadium on November 18th. I will be over here at the end, and I hope you will come see me and give me information. If you have a cell phone or a digital device with you right now, if you would do me a favor, I'm going to give you a phone number, 818-823-7293. 818-823-7293. If you text me your email address, I will send you email with all the information and all kinds of other great goodies. So it's 818-823-7293. If you miss it, I'll be there at the end. We can do that then. 818-823-7293. I feel like one of those people on American Idol or whatever. I always wanted to do that from the stage. Hey, thanks for your time this morning, you guys.
Thank you, Neil. I'm very excited about that event. So often in certainly in the pro-life movement, it's always a memorial. It's always uh, a heavy time. We're there and we're contemplating the death of children in our country. This is an event that it comes at it from an entirely different direction with a lot of energy. The amount of work, Neil, that you guys are putting into this is admirable. But they're going to celebrate life. Celebrate life. Let's all be a part of that. The next speaker that we have up is a gentleman I haven't seen in probably 10 years. Uh, he's worked He's worked as the former chairman of Orange County Pro-Life Political Action Committee. Last time I knew him, he was the chairman. Uh, he's a retired law enforcement officer. Uh, Stan, you never arrested me, did you? Okay, just wondering. It's possible. Um, in my years there with Operation Rescue, for those of you who are wondering, my kids always tell me, Dad, tell everybody why you were arrested. Um, but Stan, he's going to share with you an area that he knows very, very well. It's the intersection of politics and faith, the religious founding of our country by our founding fathers, and that this country is losing that original intent. Please welcome Mr. Stan Interactive.
With the limitations of time, I'm going to try to speak real quick. Anybody that tells you that there's no relationship between religion and politics just doesn't know what they're talking about.
Amen.
Listen to the following. Quote, we have no government armed with power, capable of contending with human passions, unbridled by morality and religion, avarice, ambition, revenge, or gallantry, would break the strongest cords of our Constitution as a whale goes through a net. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other, unquote. The second President of the United States, John Adams, to the military officers of Massachusetts in October of 1798. For 2,000 years, the church has been persecuted. Big surprise that we're not exempt from that tradition. We ought not to be surprised. Catherine Sebelius, the head of Health and Human Services, about a month ago gave a talk in front of some activists in Washington, D.C., and she's quoted as saying regarding this mandate situation against the church, quote, we are at war, unquote.
Amen.
But the church apparently, and many of us, don't think sometimes that we're at war. We are in the midst of a spiritual battle, the likes of which we haven't seen for a long time.
Amen.
It's all around us. For 35 years, I was engaged in fighting the external manifestations of that spiritual war. It's called crime. But that's just the outside. That's nothing. The real spiritual war is inside, in the souls of each one of us. Now, what happens if we don't abide by this, and God forbid it's sustained? Well, there's no compromise on moral principles, period.
Amen.
We could be fined. So be it. Our property could be confiscated. We don't own it anyway. God does.
That's right.
We could be arrested. What better way to imitate Christ? We could be martyred. What better way to join the long line of saints in their ultimate victory? Christians in the world are always outgunned and outmanned. That's the nature of the way God runs things, the economy of salvation. If it was otherwise, we wouldn't attribute it to victory to Almighty God. St. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians, when I am weak, then I am strong. Now, I'm going to tell you one experience that I've done on this recent debate era. And I never did this before. The thought never came to me. I'm one person. What can I do? I can't change anything. Oh, yes, you can. When you're fighting a spiritual war, you have to engage with spiritual weapons. What are they? Among others, is prayer and fasting. So this year, unlike any other year, the thought came to me, I got to help that man up there. He's under a lot of pressure to try to think and to say the right thing with all these opponents against you. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to watch the debates live. I'm going to start about a half an hour before. I'm going to go to either the Blessed Sacrament or to a park, and I'm going to pray, deep prayer, and I'm going to be fasting all that day. And that's what I've been doing. They play reruns the same night anyway. You're not going to miss anything. But how do I help that man up there by just sitting there and say, oh yeah, oh no, oh no. I'm going to pray and I'm going to fast.
Yeah.
That's how one person can help in the spiritual war. That's what we need to do. And if there's anything from that that you can take away to give to yourself that you can do it. Sacrifice. Make some small sacrifices all day long if you have to. Pray during the time when the debate is live on TV. The last one is going to be this Tuesday evening. So take it for what it's worth. Okay. Monday evening, okay. Why the hatred against Christ and his church? Since time is of the essence, I'm going to read two paragraphs of one of my favorite writings. It's called The Christian in the World, a letter to Diognetus, who was a Roman official. And it was written in the year 160 through the year 200, believed to originate from Asia Minor. To speak in general terms, we may say that the Christian is to the world what the soul is to the body. As the soul is present in every part of the body while remaining distinct from it, so Christians are found in all the cities of the world, but cannot be identified with the world. As the visible body contains the invisible soul, so Christians are seen living in the world, but their religious life remains unseen. The body hates the soul and wars against it, not because of any injury the soul has done against it, but because of the restriction the soul places on its pleasures, meaning immorality. Similarly, the world hates the Christians, not because they have done it any wrong, but because they are opposed to its enjoyments. Again, we're talking about immorality. Christians love those who hate them just as the soul loves the body and all its members, despite the body's hatred. It is by the soul, enclosed within the body, that the body is held together. And similarly, it is by the Christians, detained in the world as in a prison, that the world is held together. The soul, though immortal, has a mortal dwelling place. And Christians also live for a time amidst perishable things, while awaiting the freedom from change and decay that will be theirs in heaven. As the soul benefits from the deprivation of food and drink, fasting, very important. So Christians flourish under persecution. Such is the Christian's lofty and divinely appointed function, from which he is not permitted to excuse himself. End quote. That does not mean we don't fight against him. It means if we appear to lose at the time, God brings good out of evil.
That's right.
And that's why we're in this war today.
Amen.
So keep up the good work, all of you. It's very edifying for me to see all of you good people here. We're on the winning side. I read the last chapter of the book. We win.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Stan. I just love all your signs out there. So I'm going to stop and take a picture. Thank you. Why am I? Oh, it's because it's on video. This is why they don't let Dad have the camera for family events. I just want to let you know. All right. I am blessed by the breadth of speakers that we have today and the uh, churches represented. I want to say this, that I am an evangelical minister, and as an evangelical minister, I am ashamed of the response of the evangelical church.
Amen.
In fact, if it were not for the Catholic bishops, this great travesty may not have come to light. So I know Pastor Drake as a Baptist minister, myself as an evangelical minister, we are thankful to the Catholic Church and the leadership she has provided on this topic.
Amen. Yes. Yes.
Now, I was joking with Stan about had he ever arrested me as a law enforcement officer. The next speaker has not arrested me, but she's defended me many, many times. In fact, the first time I met her was shortly after my first arrest with Operation Rescue. And it's been a wonderful 20 some odd years now. And I am her most common client, even to this day. Not her best client, but her most common client. She loses more attorneys over me, probably, than just about anybody else. But our next speaker is probably one of the greatest constitutional lawyers in our country. Uh, Files amicus briefs over and over with the Supreme Court, standing up for your freedoms. And she's going to share with you today some of the um, perspective, first from a legal aspect, what's going on out there a little bit, but also some of the background on the HHS mandate that you may not even know. She's a great friend of mine. She's general counsel for Life Legal Defense Foundation, and we're very pleased to welcome Katie Short.
Good morning. Now I'm going to ask Stan to close his eyes for a minute, and everybody raise your hand if you're watching the vice presidential debate that took place. Who else was watching it? Now, you'll understand why I say that Joe Biden's religious beliefs are so private he doesn't even impose them on himself. um, his antics, a lot of people wonder, how did this buffoon ever reach that high office? A heartbeat away from the highest office in the land. And there's a story behind that. 40 years ago, he was sitting in his law office in Delaware. He had just filed papers to run for the county council, and he's to knock on the door. He's come and in walks the devil. And he says, "Have a seat, my friend." And devil sits down and says, "Joe, I know you're a smart guy, you're an ambitious guy. County council, you don't want that to be the end of the road. You have higher ambitions than that. How'd you like to be senator? How'd you like to be chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, chairman of the Judiciary Committee? How'd you like to be vice president?" So that's about as far as I could take it. But I just want one thing in return. Your immortal soul. And Joe says, "All that for my mortal soul. What's the catch?" Okay. Um, so, if you're watching the debate, you heard Joe Biden's uh, statement about the mandate, where he basically denied its existence. And if you were like me, you were standing up on your chair shouting, "Liar, liar, pants on fire," into the television screen. And so, yes, Mr. Vice President, you are, shall we say, misinformed.
Yes.
This administration's contraceptive mandate forces Catholic institutions, all religious institutions, to pay not just for contraceptives, but for sterilizations, for abortifacient drugs and devices, and that's a fact. And as Paul Ryan pointed out in response, if what Biden said was true, why does the Catholic Church keep suing? You think we enjoy suing Kathleen Sebelius? Maybe. So anyway, there are now 36 lawsuits with over 100 plaintiffs. The plaintiffs are religious institutions, colleges, schools, organizations such as Catholic Charities, Priests for Life, Legatus. A growing number of private businesses are suing, as well as their owners. And one of the claims that these lawsuits have in common is that the government has not shown that the mandate furthers a compelling governmental interest. It's as a federal regulation, that's what the standard is. A federal regulation may not burden the exercise of religion unless that's in furtherance of a compelling governmental interest and is the narrowest means of furthering that interest. And now, so the government has to come up with what is its interest? What is it saying its interest in this mandate is? It can't really admit its true interest, which is to pay off Planned Parenthood, to promote the culture of death, and to put the finishing touches on the sexual revolution. So instead, it says it's about health. It's all about health, and that all these drugs and devices are good for women's health. And in the brief that my organization filed along with Bioethics Defense Fund, we made several points in response to that. And one of them was we pointed out the numerous documented serious health risks that are posed by oral contraceptives, hormonal contraceptives in any form, higher risks of heart attack and stroke and cardiovascular problems, higher risk of breast cancer, higher risk of cervical cancer, higher risk of liver tumors, greater susceptibility to sexually transmitted infections. A lot of people don't know that. One thing that the pill does is it breaks down any sort of resistance to sexually transmitted infections. So women are more apt to, at the same time our government is supposedly fighting things like HIV, they're encouraging the use of contraceptives, which make the transmission of HIV easier. And they also have, they're pushing all these long-acting contraceptives, which are, you have all the problems of the hormonal contraceptives, but also cause all sorts of, you know, possible perforation of the uterus, infertility. Um, like for instance, Norplant had to be pulled from the market after more than 50,000 women filed suit about it. So um, the interesting thing about this, the government did not even look at those side effects before imposing this mandate. They did not even consider them. And we know that because how they came up with the mandate was they simply outsourced the recommendations, who was making recommendations for what should be included in preventive care, they outsourced it to a group called the Institute of Medicine. And the Institute of Medicine wrote up what their recommendations were and their thinking behind it. And you read the report, and there's simply not a word about these side effects in that report. Never even considered them before making this recommendation, which the government simply adopted wholesale. So in our brief, we're asking how can the government justify forcing employers and religious institutions to violate their religious beliefs by paying for these contraceptives in abortifacients when they never even consider whether in fact these do promote women's health. And there's a second interest that the government uh, said that the mandate promoted, and that was something they called gender equity. They said that women need more medical services, they end up paying for more medical services, and therefore it costs women more out of pocket to stay healthy than it costs men. So they're trying to level the playing field and equalize the cost that men and women incur. However, as we point out in the brief, the question is when we talk about women having more out of pocket costs, out of whose pocket? Because if you're talking about a married woman and her health expenses, it's going to be a shared household expense. So you're not really shifting the expense from women to men. You're just saying, employer, you're going to take over these. If you're paying for this now for this couple's contraceptives, it's not going from the woman, it's going from the couple. And if she has no husband, then you have to say, what in the world is the compelling governmental interest in forcing employers to pay for contraceptives for women who are sleeping with men who they don't know well enough to ask them to share the cost of their contraceptives? So at this point, you may be thinking, maybe, well, if you don't know me well, you'd be saying, Mr. Short. If you question everything I say, you'd be saying, Mom. Um, that's great science, that's great logic, but why do we need this? Isn't the important point here that they're violating our religious freedom rights? Why do we need to explain or prove anything? And the answer is, there are two answers to that. First answer is because it's the law. Religious freedom in our country is not an absolute under the law. And if you think about it for a moment, you can understand why. Because if every individual was able to avoid complying with the law by invoking a religious belief, instead of Joe Bob's marijuana dispensary, you'd be having Joe Bob's marijuana temple. Um, and society would end up in chaos there. And so there is a we do have a burden to show when the government tries to violate religious beliefs. We do have well, they have the burden of proof, and we have an ability to fight back against that burden of proof. And but the problem is they're not allowed, under the law as it currently stands, they're not supposed to actually weigh the gen the worth of that religious belief, you might say. How weighty is that religious belief? But it's, sort of all religious beliefs are considered to be on a plane. But it's situations like this that make me think if there was ever a room for where we should rethink that principle, um, it would be here, because we're talking here when we talk about our religious beliefs, about when life begins, and that abortion is wrong, abortifacient drugs are wrong. This is something that what they're forcing people to do is something that 40 years ago would have been a felony in most states. To provide a woman with an abortifacient drug 40 years ago could have gotten you thrown in jail, and now they're saying everybody must do it. And that's just crazy. And the second reason is the seriousness of it, the seriousness of the belief at issue. If I were told to wash the ashes off my forehead on Ash Wednesday, if I wanted in the condition of going to work, I'd be annoyed, but I wouldn't feel like I was being in the position of imperiling my soul in making that decision about whether or not to do it. But here we're talking about the mandate forcing participation in what every civilized society, including our own, recognizes as one of the gravest evils one can inflict on another, and that's the taking of innocent human life. But so that's then the second reason that we need to talk about the science and the logic is that grace builds on nature. And it's not enough for us to be convinced of the righteousness of our cause. We need to convince our neighbors and our friends and our family, and we need to convince them with reason and with facts. And we need to show them we're not saying that these things are right because we believe them, but we believe them because they are right.
That's right.
Good. And we need to convince them that the real war on women is the one being waged by Barack Obama, by Joe Biden,
Amen.
by Nancy Pelosi and Catherine Sebelius, by Planned Parenthood, and by all their flunkies in the media. That's the real war on women, born and unborn. And fortunately, though we should be ready to lay down our lives for our Christian faith, we are not currently being called to do that. We can protect our freedoms. We can fight the culture of death with ballots, not bullets. And so, armed with reason and facts and faith and commitment and the power of prayer, let's leave here today determined to make November 6, 2012, a date to remember, as a date when people of faith united to take back our country from those who tried to make a God out of government.
Amen.
Thank you, Katie. The upcoming election, we're here in California. In my car, I have my absentee ballots in my car. Uh, Later today, I'm going to be, filling those out and sending them in. Sometimes in California, don't you kind of feel like, you know, it hurts that your vote isn't necessarily going to help win for President Obama? Sorry, there, it just slipped. Thank God the media isn't here, and I'm not running for president. Um, but one of the things that always happens is that we kind of have that feeling. It hurts a little. You got to go out and vote. You got to do the right thing. I have 11 kids. My wife is merciless on making sure they're registered to vote and that they vote. But I want to let you know that there's a very, very important way that you can help this coming election. I want you to be ready to write this address down. I'll give it to you at the end again. Okay? One of the things that is so important in these swing states, let's pretend for a moment that you lived in a swing state. Would you be willing to work the day of elections? Would you be willing to work the night of elections? Is that too much to ask for the importance of what we're talking about here? If the answer for you is yes, I would, then I want you to go to operationswingstate.org. operationswingstate.org. And what they are going to do is they are going to mobilize Catholics, Californians, and anybody who hooks up with them, so that as if you are living in Ohio, or it's as if you are living in Florida, and you will be making get out the vote calls all day. You and your friends and your family can make a difference. It's Operation SwingState.org. And if you need that afterwards, we'll make sure we get it to you. But that's how you can participate in this election. Our next speaker, the is from the Family Theater Productions. And his name is Tony Sands. He's in charge of their national public service billboard campaign, but he's also been a director on a number of their teen miniseries there. He's in the middle, I believe they're producing another wholesome TV program right now. And, you know, so often as Christians, we want to abandon Hollywood. Sometimes as Christians, we want to abandon California, for that matter. I am thankful that Family Theater Productions and Tony Sands have not abandoned Hollywood or California or our country. Please welcome Tony Sands.
That was a money whistle. All right, thank you very much. So I was talking with a good friend of mine who's non-Catholic and working in Hollywood. That's a pretty often event. And in a nutshell, he said, what ticks me off is the stuff about gay marriage. And he said, in a nutshell, um, I just see this as a bunch of closed-minded, bigoted people trying to use the government to enforce their views on individuals. I said, okay. Well, then you must really be ticked off by the HHS mandate. You're like, oh, no. The government needs to straighten out those Catholics. They're just backwards and they hate women. I'm like, right. Is there then a disconnect? Yes, a huge one. Somehow, in this whole discussion, there's been this painting of different sides. Oh, are you against the HH mandate? Well, it's because, you're against women. You must be a bigot because obviously you're against Barack Obama and he's black. Quick side note, my sister is a photo retoucher. When they photographed Barack Obama with the head of the NAACP, they actually had to go in there and blacken him up because he just didn't look African American anymore. Just as a note, Hollywood is very much involved in this whole discussion. And what's going on is we're being painted into one corner and the other side is being painted into another as the heroes, as the saviors. They care about women's freedom, they care about women's rights, they care about the health of this nation, and somehow we're just angry and we're not in the right century. However, there's something kind of huge here. Well, I very much appreciate the support and the love that we're being shown by the Catholic bishops standing up against this mandate. The fact of the matter is 57% of Catholics don't actually see us in a struggle for our religious freedom. Whoops. That's sort of a problem. We don't know, when asked, is the church in trouble of losing its religious freedom? They are, no. Now, here's one that's kind of crazy. In a way, they're right. Because it's not just the church that's in trouble. This is anybody of any faith who actually wants to stand for something. So this is the one thing I'm going to talk about for just this couple minutes that I have. This is not a Catholic issue. It is not a Christian issue. is the issue about anyone who actually believes in something and needs to have it being done in real life. You don't need to raise a hand, though you can if you want to. Have you gone to a funeral in the past year? Have you gone? Have you gone to a wedding? Have you ever shared information about your faith to someone who is not of your faith? Have you ever gone and done work for the homeless? Have you ever taught at a disadvantaged school? Have you ever supported maybe someone in their pregnancy situation? And have you ever done to someone who's actually not of your faith? Okay, if your answer to that is yes, here's the issue you're facing right now. That will no longer be a viable option to whatever organization you did that with once this mandate passes. Because here's the deal, they're trying to redefine in this country what freedom of worship is. And what they want is it for to be freedom of worship. And actually, it is not that. The First Amendment clearly states that government shall neither support nor define any established religion, but nor shall they inhibit or prohibit the practice of any said religion. Now, the one exception to that is common good. For example, if you said, okay, in my religious practices, we just happen to sacrifice children. It's our deal, it's our thing, it's how we communicate with God. Survey says no, you can't do that. But can you do other forms of religion that are maybe not quite as normal? Absolutely, you can. For example, do you know in our country, Santeria is protected, and they actually sacrifice animals. Not my style, but it is protected under the Constitution. Here's the thing, though. What they're saying is that's something that's okay as long as you do it within your own walls, in your service, and that's it. Once you walk out of those walls or out of that service, that protection ends. And now you must abide by our rules and our laws. Or you can practice outside of your walls, but only if you do it to people who are of your same faith. Once you cross that line, you're done. Well, there's a minor problem we're going to have with that. Especially as Christians, here's the deal. There's that little passage in the Gospels where God says, hey, you sheep, come to heaven. Why? Because you gave a cup of water, you educated, you gave a drink to one of the least of my brethren. You didn't ask whether they're Christian or not, but you gave it in honor of me. You goats, I'm sorry, for you, everlasting fire. Why? Because you did not do these things to the least of my brethren in honor of me. And now what they're saying to us here is, you can no longer do those things unless you abide by our rules. And our rules are going to force you to pay a fine unless you violate your conscience. Our rules are going to make it so that you can no longer do this without basically going out of business. Just to widen it for 1 second, and I'll wrap up for you here. Imagine if every Jewish institution had to offer ham to anyone who wanted it, or pay for them to go ahead and get ham. It's the other white meat, right? It's healthy for you in a way. That doesn't make sense. What if you were Muslim and you actually provide wine? Wine has health benefits. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's against our tenets to drink. Too bad. You have to pay a fine or pay people to actually go ahead and get and procure this. What if you're an atheist and you want to send your kid to public school and he has to say the Pledge of Allegiance with the under God in it? And every time he or she does not do so, it's $100 to $1,000 for them to omit that. It's not going to work. That is why everyone, not just Christians, Catholics, everyone needs to be behind us here and needs to fight now.
Amen.
If we don't fight here and we don't fight now, we're going to lose a bigger battle, and don't wait for this to get to bloodshed.
That's right.
Because it will happen. It has happened in 80% of other countries around the world. We are not immune. So I'll leave you with this last thing. It's a quote. And you ever want to wonder what the Constitution is about in a nutshell? Let's talk to someone who knows about it. How about George Washington? How about the Liberty Bell? I feel so empowered. Well, this will be a backdrop then. Here it goes. If I could have entertained the slightest apprehension that the Constitution, framed in our convention, where I had the honor to preside might possibly endanger the religious rights of any ecclesiastical society, certainly I would never have conceived that general I would certainly never have placed my signature to it. And if I could now conceive that the government might ever be so administered as to render the liberty of conscience insecure, I beg that you be persuaded that no one would be more zealous than I myself to establish effectual barriers against the horrors of spiritual tyranny and every species of religious persecution. And you know where I found this quote? On an atheist's website. Because we must defend each other's ability to freely believe and freely practice that belief when it is for the truth, justice, and common good of our society.
Amen.
Thank you, Tony. That was great. The uh, the next speaker is someone who I know very, very well. As the director of Survivors, a pro-life youth organization, I'm obviously not the face of it. Okay, I founded it originally along with Cheryl Conrad to bring our own children into pro-life activism and to take a stand in the public square for life and for their faith. But the person who's on the road week after week, in fact, Christina and the team, many of whom are here, just returned from a 3-week around across the country tour. Oh, it seemed like just yesterday, you guys. Okay, it was 6 weeks ago. See how it is when you're not the one who's actually driving in the car each day? It was 6 weeks ago they took off. They traveled across the country. Christina and the team took a stand in front of the White House
Yes.
with a number of other people who were here, including Pastor Drake, and were arrested in front of the White House, praying for our country, sending a prophetic message that we will not comply. They held signs, they knelt in prayer, and they were arrested 3 times on that weekend. They've gone to high schools, colleges, all across the country to speak out on life. Christine and the team are threatened almost daily, but certainly weekly with arrest. In fact, the day before she got here, she called me, sent me a video of a police officer who was threatening them with arrest, and she continued to share the truth about abortion on the street. An interesting side, a lady comes up, starts defending Christina and the team, and after she gets threatened by the police officer, Christina asks for her address, and she says, "Oh, I get your mailings." So that was kind of cool.
Amen.
Christina is the head of our campus life outreach. Again, like I said, she travels all over the country, but she's a fantastic speaker. She is a tremendous blessing to our organization and a great leader of young people. Please welcome Christina Garza.
Yay!
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. How are you
Buenas
doing?
tardes.
All right. I was inspired to, well, I remembered two very important stories while Jeff was speaking. He said he was encouraging you guys to go to the website. What is the website?
Operation Swing State.
Operation Swing State. OperationSwingState.org.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Where's that from? This is why you should go to that website. When the team was in Ohio, we were at the University of Cincinnati.
.org.
OperationSwingState.org. We were at the University of Cincinnati, and as Providence would have it, Natalie Portman was on the same campus that day. She just happened to be dropping by. And with Natalie Portman was the director of the Youth Vote Outreach for the Obama campaign for the entire state. And so while Natalie Portman was whisked away after her very inspiring 3 minutes of campaigning for Obama, the director of the Youth Vote for the Obama campaign stayed behind to talk to students. So I approached her and I asked her, how did she feel about Obama's position on abortion? And over the course of the conversation, she was
she admitted, I am pro-life. I myself was adopted. However, we can't all agree with the president. So I'm going to stand with Obama and I'm going to vote for Obama, even though we don't agree. This is the director of Youth Vote for the entire state of Ohio.
Mm.
If you think that your phone call will not matter, you are dead wrong because there are students in swing states who are just uneducated. All they need is that last little push. If the director of Youth Vote for Ohio is not sure herself about her position, her stance on her own president upon the person that employs her, then you can bet that there are hundreds, thousands of students in that state who would be willing to hear your voice when you
That's
call
right.
them.
Amen.
So this is my encouragement to you to please, please go out and get your voice heard in those swing states. I want to share with you another story um, from the road. When the team was in Nashville, we went to a small state college that was predominantly African American. And we were sharing the truth about abortion, and they were receptive to the truth, but they were rather um, I don't want to say belligerent, but they did question what we were bringing to them. And the question led to, who are you going to vote for? And so they told me, I I don't know that the HHS mandate really affects me. I don't know that that Obamacare is going to affect my vote because Obama told me that he's going to pay for school. And if Romney gets reelected, he's not going to pay for school. And that's really all that matters to me. And we went on to talk about the implications of the Affordable Care Act and the HHS mandate. And they told me, what do you care? It's only $1 a month.
Mm.
It's only $1. Can't you afford $1? And this is the point that I am trying to make. Our religious freedom, our freedom period, is not under attack because the government is attacking the church alone. It's because we are allowing our freedom to be taken from us.
Right.
We are allowing people to say it's only $1 a month. Your morals don't matter as much as that dollar a month.
Mm.
Your morals don't matter as much as paying for me to go to school. We are here because the few of us understand this. Our job is not to stand now, but to go away from here and encourage people that are not here to call in swing states, to vote pro life on November 6th, to educate about the implications of this mandate. The reason that story in Nashville is so impacting, and the reason that the implications of the mandate are so haunting, is because I think about the implications on our eternal souls.
Mm.
When I stand before God on Judgment Day, I do not want one soul to look back at me and say, you paid for my murder.
Mm.
And that is what we would be doing if we allowed the HHS mandate to
That's
move
right.
forward.
That's right.
Now we've heard the rhetoric, this is a war on women, this is a war on religion. And one of the participants at the event in front of the White House, I thought he said something very profound. He said he was inspired by watching everybody stand up for their freedom. And he said that we hear the rhetoric from the media says that we're trying to control women's rights. We're trying to take away women's rights, their right to contraception, their right to abortion and abortion-inducing drugs. And he said they're wrong. The media's wrong. This is not a bunch of men, it's not a bunch of people trying to control women's rights. It's other women trying to save women's rights. My teammate Mary Rose earlier, she said, I don't understand. This isn't just about religious freedom. Why can't we just say it's about freedom? And that's what we're saying here. Our country was founded on the basis of liberty, of freedom. And religious persecution happened to be the persecution they were fleeing. That is the most common form of persecution. But this is about our freedom to practice our religion, our freedom not to pay for something that we don't want to pay for. Um, it's our freedom to stand, to use our voices, to speak up on behalf of what we believe. So Katie talked about a strategy. We've heard other people talk about strategy. We've heard people talk about the implications of the HHS mandate, about the importance of voting. And my encouragement to you today is not to let it stay here.
That's right.
Do not let everything you've heard fall on the grass here.
Mm.
Don't let it fall on deaf ears. You guys need to move forward. We are not the only voices here. Your voices are important too. It is important for us to stand up and say, we will not comply. We will not pay. When push comes to shove, we will not pay.
Amen.
Our faith is more important than that, and we will not be responsible for those souls who end up in heaven on our behalf.
Amen.
So, we've heard who here has seen the movies For Greater Glory? Who knows the story of the Cristeros? This is my encouragement to you. We are a new generation of Cristeros. The attack is here on our front.
That's right.
This is in our nation now. It's not another nation. It's not another time period. It is now and it is here. So, are you going to stand up? Are you going to fight? What will you do when push comes to shove? When the decision has been made on November 6th, what will you do?
Amen.
Somos la nueva generación de cristeros, ¿sí? Que viva Cristo Rey.
Thank you, Christina. Well, we're coming to the end of our talks here. I wanted to, as we close, I'm going to ask if everybody can come and gather here in front of the bandstand. And I'm going to have Pastor Wiley Gray close us in prayer. But just before I do, I want to mention a couple things. And we'll be available here if you want more information on any of them. First of all, over at the survivors table right over here are some voter guides, some talking points for the obey mandated scripture, and this is put out by onemoresoul.com. It's got a number of pieces written by Catholic scholars across the country. We also have the California Voters Guide put out by Traditional Values Coalition. And I want to invite you to pick those up. Remember, we have a couple of the election. For the election.